The Imperial Scout vessel Dominant will drifted at the edge of the Sol system. Its gray hull reflected little light as it scanned the third planet. Commander Tahoe stood on the bridge, his tall frame casting a shadow across the gleaming control panels. He watched the data stream in with cold eyes that had seen hundreds of worlds just like this one. Primitive technology detected, reported the sensor officer. No signs of faster-than-light capability. Tahoe nodded, unsurprised. Most worlds they found were like this, stuck on their home planets, barely able to reach their own moons. The Empire had seen it all before. They have nuclear weapons, Lieutenant Ju said, looking up from her station. Her uniform bore fewer medals than Tahoe's, but her eyes held the same calculating look. Nothing that could harm our ships, of course. What about their political structure? Tahoe asked, moving to look over her shoulder. Ju brought up more data on her screen. Interesting. They seem unified under something called the Earth Defense Coalition. Most planets at this stage are still fighting among themselves. Tahoe's lips curved into a small smile. Unity makes them easier to control. One authority to pressure instead of hundreds. He straightened up. Standard protocol. Mark them as Category 3, pre-FTL civilization with global governance. The bridge crew worked quietly, cataloging Earth's resources, population centers, and military capabilities. None of it impressed them. Earth would be like the last 12 worlds they had processed, grateful for Imperial protection, willing to trade resources for technology, and eventually loyal subjects of the Emperor. Send the report to command, Tahoe ordered. Request diplomatic corps for first contact and integration. 3 weeks later, the much larger Imperial diplomatic vessel Benevolent Guidance entered Earth's atmosphere. Its sleek design was meant to impress, with golden accents catching the sunlight as it descended toward the designated landing zone in Geneva. Inside, Ambassador Hyunjin adjusted his formal robes. Remember, he told his staff, appear friendly but firm. These humans must understand that our protection is not optional. The ship landed smoothly in a large open area where a receiving party waited. Security forces had cleared a wide perimeter, keeping curious humans at a distance. News cameras recorded everything. The ship's main door opened, extending a ramp. Ambassador Hyunjin walked out first, followed by 6 armed guards in gleaming armor. His face showed the perfect balance of superiority and kindness that had worked on countless worlds before. Earth's Secretary General Minji stepped forward to meet him. She was shorter than Hyunjin, but stood straight, her simple blue suit a contrast to his ornate robes. On behalf of the Galactic Empire, Hyunjin announced loudly, knowing his words would be broadcast globally, I extend the Emperor's greeting and protection to Earth. Your world now stands at the threshold of a greater community. Minji bowed slightly. Earth is honored by the Empire's attention, Ambassador. We have much to learn from your advanced civilization. Hyunjin smiled, pleased by her submission. The Empire rewards those who recognize its wisdom. We will guide your development and protect you from the dangers that lurk between stars. We request only a small period of time, Minji said. Our people must be prepared for such changes. We are still adjusting to the knowledge that we are not alone in the universe. Of course, Hyunjin replied generously. The Empire understands the shock of first contact. You may have 3 Earth months to prepare your population. Then we will begin the integration process. As they spoke, General Doyun stood quietly behind Minji. His military uniform was decorated with medals, but nothing that would suggest Earth's true capabilities. When Minji glanced briefly his way, he gave a nearly invisible nod. The meeting continued with polite conversation. The Imperial delegation saw exactly what Earth wanted them to see, a somewhat advanced but ultimately inferior civilization, awed by their new galactic overlords. That night, as the Imperial delegation rested in their luxury accommodations, General Doyun entered a secret elevator beneath the Geneva Military Command Center. It descended for nearly 2 minutes before opening into a vast underground complex. He walked briskly through security checkpoints until he reached a transport tube. The magnetic vehicle shot him across the Atlantic Ocean in under 20 minutes, deep beneath the seafloor. From there, another shuttle carried him upward, not to Earth, but to the Moon. Base Sentinel was hidden beneath the lunar surface, invisible to Imperial scans. As Do-Hyun stepped into the command center, officers snapped to attention. "At ease," he said, moving to the central console. The massive room hummed with activity, hundreds of personnel monitoring systems that officially did not exist. Do-Hyun placed his palm on a scanner, then stated clearly, "Authorization. Do-Hyun, General, Earth Defense Fleet. Access Shadow Protocol." The main screen activated, showing a map of the solar system. Scattered throughout were blinking lights, hidden bases on Mars, Venus, Europa, and throughout the asteroid belt. Do-Hyun opened a secure channel. "The Imperial delegation has arrived as expected. They categorized us as pre-FTL, exactly as we hoped." Admiral Sunho's face appeared on screen, his features tense but confident. Their arrogance blinds them. "What's the timeline?" 3 months before formal integration begins. That gives us the time we need to complete final preparations. Do-Hyun took a deep breath and gave the order they had planned for decades. "They've taken the bait. Commence Operation Shadow Fleet." Throughout the solar system, hidden hangar doors began to open. Ships that no Imperial scanner had detected powered up their advanced engines. Earth had developed faster than light travel 15 years ago, but had kept it hidden, watching the Empire's expansion with growing concern. Now, as the Empire thought it was adding another simple conquest, humanity prepared to reveal its true strength at the perfect moment. Captain Junho walked through the rocket assembly building with 4 other Imperial officers. Their clean white uniforms stood out against the industrial gray of the facility. Workers in blue jumpsuits pretended to be busy, while stealing glances at the aliens. The building in Kazakhstan was massive, with high ceilings and concrete floors. Old rockets stood in various stages of assembly. "This is where we build our orbital delivery systems," Dr. Yunji explained. She was a small woman in her 50s with short hair and intelligent eyes. "We can reach our own orbit, but nothing beyond that yet." Junho picked up a fuel injector from a workbench. He turned it over in his hands and smiled slightly. "Quite primitive," he said. "You still use chemical propulsion. The efficiency must be terrible." "We work with what we know," Yunji replied with a humble nod. "But we're eager to learn from the Empire." Junho set the part down. "Of course, the Empire is generous with its knowledge to loyal worlds." He made a note on his tablet. "These rockets could never achieve faster than light travel. At best, they might reach your neighboring planet in, 7 months? 8, usually," Yunji said. "Mars is quite far." "How quaint," another officer remarked. The Imperial group shared knowing looks. Yunji led them to the next section, where engine parts lay scattered on tables. She picked up technical explanations that she knew would bore them. The more boring the tour, the less they would suspect. "Your civilization shows promise," Junho said as they prepared to leave. "With Imperial guidance, you might develop proper space travel within a century." "We are grateful for the Empire's patience," Yunji said with a bow. After the Imperial delegation left, Yunji entered a small office and closed the door. She placed her hand on what looked like a normal wall panel. A hidden scanner read her fingerprints, and the wall slid open. She stepped into an elevator that took her 300 feet below ground. The real aerospace facility spread out before her, 10 times larger than the fake one above. Here, engineers worked on quantum engines and gravity manipulators. No one wore jumpsuits. They wore normal clothes and lab coats. The technology here was far beyond what the Empire had seen. "Did they suspect anything?" asked Director Taeyong. "No," Yunji smiled. "They believe exactly what we want them to believe. In orbit around Earth, The Imperial Monitoring Station Vigilant Eye floated among communication satellites. It was small by Imperial standards, but still impressive to what they thought were Earth's capabilities. The station had 20 crew members and advanced sensors watching Earth's activities. Officer Minho sat at the command chair, reviewing the daily reports. He was young for his position, eager to prove himself to the Empire. "Anything unusual?" he asked his sensor operator. "Nothing, sir. Earth continues normal activities. They're broadcasting their rocket test preparations for next week." Minho nodded. "Good. Send the daily update to command. Earth remains compliant and primitive." What Minho didn't know was that Earth's satellites had special shielding that blocked the station's deepest scans. And beneath the oceans, in orbit around Jupiter's moons, and hidden in the asteroid belt, Earth's real activities continued unseen. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, Fleet Admiral Jaehyun floated through the command center of Bastion Alpha. The asteroid looked ordinary from outside, but inside it was hollow, housing Earth's largest shipyard. The main hangar stretched for miles, with hundreds of warships in neat rows. Jaehyun pushed himself toward a holographic display where his engineering team waited. They had captured an Imperial scout ship 3 years ago and learned everything about Imperial technology. "Their FTL drive specifications are interesting," he said, pointing to the schematics. "They use gravitational folding to bend space. Efficient, but old-fashioned." Chief Engineer Hannah nodded. "Their approach requires massive energy expenditure. Our quantum displacement system uses 58% less power and achieves twice the speed." "What about their weapons systems?" Jaehyun asked. "Plasma-based, primarily," another engineer replied. "Our phase-shift cannons will cut through their shields like they're not even there." Sung-ho, Jaehyun's second-in-command, looked worried. He had served with Jaehyun for 15 years and knew him better than anyone. "Admiral, the treaty signing ceremony is scheduled for next month. Are we cutting it too close?" Around them, technicians floated between ships, applying final touches to hull plating and weapon systems. The fleet had been building in secret for a decade, but last-minute adjustments were still needed. "We'll be ready," Jaehyun said firmly. "The Empire believes we're helpless. That's our advantage." He pushed off toward the nearest warship, its dark hull gleaming under the hangar lights. "How many ships are fully operational?" 312, Sung-ho replied, checking his tablet. "Another 89 will be ready within 2 weeks." Jaehyun nodded with satisfaction. The Earth ships were smaller than Imperial dreadnoughts, but more advanced in every way. What they lacked in size, they'd made up for in technology. And the stealth systems, all functioning perfectly, Hannah confirmed. "The Empire has no idea we can mask quantum signatures. Their sensors are calibrated only for conventional drives." Back on Earth, human leaders maintained their active submission. They agreed to Imperial suggestions, expressed appropriate awe at Imperial technology, and kept the Empire's representatives comfortable and confident. In Geneva, Secretary General Minji met with her cabinet in a secure room swept for listening devices. "The treaty ceremony is set for June 15th, she informed them. "That's when we'll reveal ourselves." Defense Minister Kian looked grim. "The Imperial fleet positions. They've stationed only 3 battle cruisers in our system," General Doyun replied. "They don't see us as a threat, just another primitive world to absorb." Minji's expression remained calm, but determination burned in her eyes. "For 20 years, we've hidden our true capabilities. We've let them believe we're helpless while building our strength. One more month of deception, then we show the Empire that humanity will not be conquered." The ministers nodded solemnly. Earth had discovered the Empire's expansion pattern long ago, find isolated worlds, overwhelmed them with superior technology, and absorbed them before they could develop proper defenses. Earth had chosen a different path. They would reveal themselves not as a primitive world, but as a fully developed galactic power. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Jaehyun, drifted alone through the rows of waiting warships. In darkness, their hulls barely visible, hundreds of vessels slumbered, waiting for the signal to awaken. Soon, the galaxy would understand that humanity was not to be underestimated. The deception was almost complete. The Grand Hall of Nations sparkled with light. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings. Red and gold banners of the Galactic Empire draped along marble walls. 500 people filled the room. Earth diplomats in formal suits sat on one side. Imperial officials in their ornate uniforms sat on the other. High Commissioner Kibum stood at the central podium. He was tall even for his species, with pale blue skin that contrasted with his dark ceremonial robes. Gold medals covered his chest. His thin lips formed what humans would recognize as a smile, but it never reached his eyes. "This day marks a turning point in Earth's history," Kibum announced. His voice carried through the perfect acoustics of the hall. "Today, Earth joins the embrace of the Galactic Empire. Your primitive world now steps into a greater future." In the front row, Imperial Admiral Junseo nodded with satisfaction. Captain Juno sat beside him, looking pleased. They had spent months evaluating Earth and found nothing concerning. Just another easy conquest for the Empire. Near the treaty table, President Heyoon waited in her simple white suit. She was the third woman to lead Earth's united government. Her face showed the appropriate mix of honor and humility that the Empire expected from new subjects. Behind her stood her aide, Minjin, and General Doyeon in his dress uniform. They looked properly solemn for the occasion. "The treaty before you is standard for all new protectorate worlds," Kibum continued. "Earth will provide resources and manpower. In exchange, the Empire will share limited technology and protection. You may maintain some self-governance under Imperial oversight." The terms were harsh, though Kibum presented them as generous. Earth would effectively become a mining colony. The treaty demanded 80% of Earth's mineral resources and required humans to serve in Imperial labor forces. President Heyoon stepped forward when Kibum gestured. A golden pen waited on the treaty document. "It is my honor to welcome Earth into the Imperial family," Kibum said. "Once you sign, the integration process will begin immediately. Imperial ships are already positioned to establish permanent bases on your moon and major continents." Heyoon reached for the pen. The room fell silent. This was the moment Earth surrendered its independence. But then Minjin, her aide, touched his earpiece. His eyes widened slightly. He leaned forward and whispered in the president's ear. Heyoon's hand stopped inches from the pen. Her expression didn't change, but she straightened up without taking it. "High Commissioner," she said calmly, "before we formalize our relationship, Earth would like to present a token of appreciation to the Empire." Kibum looked confused. This wasn't in the protocol. "Token?" "Yes," Heyoon nodded. "We have prepared something special to mark this historic occasion." She turned to face the massive view screens that lined the wall behind the stage. "If you would direct your attention to the displays." The screens flickered to life, showing a view of Earth from orbit. It looked peaceful, blue and green against the blackness of space. The Imperial monitoring station was visible as a small dot. "What is this?" Kibum asked impatiently. "Just wait," Heyoon replied. "It's about to begin." Suddenly, the sensors detected energy spikes. First one, then dozens, then hundreds. On the moon's surface, hidden bay doors slid open. From beneath the lunar dust, sleek ships rose into space. Their hulls were midnight black with blue energy lines pulsing along their sides. On another screen, the ice of Europa cracked as more vessels emerged from Jupiter's moon. In the asteroid belt, what had appeared to be ordinary rocks split open, revealing ships hidden inside. Most shocking of all, Earth's oceans began to churn. Massive doors opened on the seafloor, and from these underwater bases rose the largest vessels of all. Huge carriers and battleships, their designs unlike anything in the Imperial database. Within minutes, over 500 warships had appeared throughout the solar system. They moved with impossible speed, forming precise formations around Earth and its moon. The Imperial officials sat in stunned silence. Admiral Juncio stood up, his face pale. "Those are warships," he stammered. "Advanced warships." Kibum turned to Heyoon, his composed demeanor cracking. "What is the meaning of this? Where did these vessels come from?" President Heyoon's smile remained diplomatic, but now it held something else. Pride and strength that had been hidden before. "The meaning is simple, Commissioner," she said clearly. "Earth developed faster than light technology 27 years ago. We've been exploring the galaxy and watching your empire ever since." The room erupted in chaos. Imperial officers shouted into communication devices. Earth diplomats remained calm, having been briefed about what would happen. On the screens, Earth ships moved with precision. Several positioned themselves around the small Imperial monitoring station. Others formed a defensive sphere around Earth itself. "This is impossible," Captain Junho said, standing beside Admiral Juncio. "We scanned their planet thoroughly. They had no FTL capabilities." General Doyun stepped forward. "You saw what we wanted you to see, Captain. The rockets in Kazakhstan, props, the satellites you monitored, decoys. But," Junho struggled to understand, "our scans would have detected advanced energy signatures. Your scans," Doyun said, "cannot detect quantum displacement drives. Your empire relies on gravitational folding technology, effective but outdated. Our ships operate on principles your science hasn't discovered yet." On another screen, Admiral Jaehyun appeared from the bridge of his flagship, the Silent Thunder *. The vessel was massive, at least twice the size of the largest Imperial cruiser in the system. "Imperial Monitoring Station," Jaehyun said calmly. "This is Earth Defense Fleet Admiral Jaehyun. Your vessels are now surrounded. Make no aggressive moves, and you will not be harmed." Kibum was shaking with rage. "This deception will not stand. The full might of the Empire will descend upon your world for this treachery." President Heyoon's expression hardened slightly. "Commissioner, please look at the tactical display." A new screen showed the positions of all vessels in the solar system. The 3 Imperial cruisers that had been stationed near Mars were now surrounded by dozens of Earth ships. Their weapons were powered down, and their engines disabled by targeted electromagnetic pulses. "Your ships have already been neutralized," Heyoon explained. "And I should mention that we've disabled all FTL communications. No distress calls will reach your fleet. We've been studying your technology for decades," General Doyun added. "We know its strengths and weaknesses. Your shields cannot stop our phase shift weapons. Your sensors cannot track our stealth systems." Admiral Juncio collapsed back into his chair. How could primitive humans achieve this level of technology? President Heyoon walked away from the treaty table, leaving the pen untouched. "We were never primitive, Admiral. We simply understood the value of patience and deception. When we detected your first scout ships entering our galaxy 11 years ago, we saw how you treated other worlds. We decided to prepare rather than fall victim to Imperial expansion." Kibum's rage turned to calculation. "What do you want?" "A new treaty," Heyoon replied. "One between equals. Earth will not be conquered or colonized. We will negotiate fair terms for trade and cultural exchange, or we will not negotiate at all." The revelation was complete. In one moment, everything the Empire thought it knew about Earth had changed. Humanity had revealed itself not as a primitive species to be subjugated, but as a technological power to be reckoned with. And the galaxy would never be the same. High Commander Woojin grabbed his communication device in panic. His hand shook as he watched the screens showing hundreds of Earth ships appearing across the solar system. This was impossible. Humans were primitive. They built chemical rockets and simple satellites, yet the evidence before his eyes told a different story. "Imperial Fleet Command, this is Earth Station. We have a situation," he began urgently. The device made a sharp crackling sound, then went silent. The lights on the communication console blinked red. All channels were dead. "Restore communications," Wu Jin shouted at his crew. "Use emergency protocols." "Sir, nothing works," a technician replied. "All frequencies are being jammed. Even the quantum link is offline." Wu Jin slammed his fist on the console. The Empire had never been outmaneuvered like this before. His security team of 20 soldiers looked to him for guidance, their faces showing confusion and fear. In orbit around Earth, Officer Minho stood frozen on the bridge of the monitoring station. Through the viewport, he watched as sleek black ships surrounded his position. Their hulls gleamed with blue energy lines. They moved with impossible speed and precision, forming a perfect blockade. These ships looked nothing like the crude satellites humans had placed in orbit. They were elegant, advanced, and clearly built for war. Most alarming was their size. Several were larger than Imperial battlecruisers. The main screen on the bridge flickered to life. A human appeared wearing a dark blue uniform with silver stars on the shoulders. His face was calm and confident. "Imperial Station. This is Admiral Jaehyun of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your vessels are surrounded and outgunned. Stand down immediately." Minho glanced at his tactical officer, who nodded confirmation. They were indeed surrounded. But Imperial protocol was clear: never surrender. "This is Officer Minho of the Galactic Empire. Your deception will be punished. The Empire does not negotiate with." "Officer," Admiral Jaehyun interrupted, "look at your tactical display. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your engines are already disabled. I am not negotiating. I am stating facts." Two Imperial support ships docked at the station suddenly broke away. Their engines flared as they attempted to escape the blockade and send a warning to the Empire. "Sir, the Swift Messenger and Imperial will are making a run for it," shouted Minho's tactical officer. On screen, Admiral Jaehyun sighed. "That is unfortunate." 4 Earth ships moved to intercept. They fired thin beams of purple energy. The beams passed through the Imperial shields as if they weren't there. The ship's engines died instantly. They drifted helplessly in space, all systems offline but life support. "How?" Minho whispered in disbelief. Imperial shields were the best in the galaxy. Nothing could penetrate them so easily. "Phase shift technology," Admiral Jaehyun explained as if reading his thoughts. "Your shields are designed to block physical and energy attacks in normal space. Our weapons briefly shift to another phase state before impact. To your shields, they simply don't exist until they're already inside." Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out. The 3 Imperial cruisers stationed near Mars found themselves surrounded by dozens of Earth vessels. Their weapons could not lock onto the fast-moving ships. Their shields offered no protection. In less than 6 minutes, every Imperial ship in the solar system was disabled or contained. Not a single distress call escaped to warn the Empire. Back in the Grand Hall of Nations in New York, silence had fallen. Imperial dignitaries watched the screens in horror as their military advantage evaporated. Earth diplomats remained calm, having been briefed about the plan. High Commissioner Kibum's blue skin had turned almost white. His hand trembled slightly as President Heyoon handed him a data tablet. "These are our terms," she said calmly. "Earth will remain independent and negotiate as an equal partner, or not at all." Kibum scrolled through the document. His eyes widened with each page. Where the original treaty would have made Earth a resource colony, this new document proposed a limited alliance. Earth would share some of its advanced technology, but not weapons. The Empire would recognize Earth's sovereignty and all human colonies in nearby systems. Most shocking of all, Earth demanded the right to protect other developing worlds from Imperial expansion. "This is unprecedented," Kibum said, his voice barely above a whisper. "So is our situation," Heyoon replied with a small smile. "The Empire has never encountered a species that hid their capabilities so thoroughly, has it?" General Doyun stepped forward. "Commissioner, you should know that we've been monitoring Imperial communications for years. We know about the 16 other worlds you've conquered. We know how you stripped their resources and reduced their populations to slave labor. Admiral Juncio stood up angrily. You dare to spy on the Empire. This treachery will not stand. When our fleet arrives. Your fleet won't be arriving, General Doyon interrupted. We've deployed jump inhibitors throughout the system. No ship can enter using conventional FTL drives. In space, Admiral Jae-yun's flagship moved alongside the Imperial monitoring station. Inside, Officer Minho had finally accepted the reality of their situation. He ordered his crew to power down weapons and prepare for boarding. Earth Marines entered the station in sealed suits. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing key areas and gathering intelligence. The Imperial crew was confined to quarters but treated with respect. Search everything, ordered Commander Taedong, leading the boarding party. Download their databases. We need to know exactly what they've reported to their homeworld. One of the Marines found High Commander Wujin trying to destroy data in his office. The Marine easily disarmed him. You don't understand what you're doing, Wujin said as he was led away. The Empire spans thousands of worlds. You cannot hope to stand against it. Commander Taeyong smiled behind his helmet. We don't need to stand against the entire Empire. We just need to make conquering us too costly to be worth the effort. In New York, the negotiation continued. Commissioner Kivam had moved from shock to bargaining. President Haeun remained firm on her key points. Earth's independence would not be compromised. The Emperor will never accept these terms, Kivam insisted. He will when he understands the alternative, Haeun replied. She nodded to an aide who activated another screen. The display showed a massive Earth ship emerging from behind Jupiter. It dwarfed everything else in the fleet. Even Kivam could not hide his reaction. That is the EDF *, Humanity's Hope *, President Haeun explained. Our first planetary defense vessel. Its main weapon can destabilize a star's fusion process. We have no desire to use such weapons, but we will protect ourselves if threatened. For the first time in its long history of expansion, the Galactic Empire faced a choice. Respect another species as equals, or face a war they might not win. The confrontation had reached its turning point.